When I was in my 20s, I was having a party at my house when all of a sudden our front door and our back door came down at the same time, and these men ran in and they had a mask and they had sawed-off shotguns and they proceeded to rob us. It was terrifying. You've heard that expression, like your knees went weak. Like that literally happens. Like my knees literally went weak. They felt like jelly. And this guy was like, get in the living room, get in the living room. And at the time I was in the kitchen, I was making shots. And I went to go like turn the corner around like where the fridge was to go into the living room. And I turned back around, there's a ruckus. And my boyfriend at the time had like attacked this guy. He had like gone at him and he was like wrestling the gun away from him. And I just stood there and I was just utterly terrified. And I remember like crying out like a child, and I was like, I just want my daddy. And I just wanted to be with my dad. So they did what they came to do, and they beat this kid up really bad, but then they left. And then when they left, we called the cops. And when the police came, I called my dad. I told him what happened. I was crying. It was like 4 a.m. I wasn't in a good place in my life at the time. Like I was using drugs and drinking and partying and stuff, and I wasn't like super close with my dad. Me and my dad never talked about it again. Okay, fast forward, I'm in prison. I was on a team called the Get Smart team, and we would travel around and we would speak, tell our story and stuff. And one night I was telling my story, and all of a sudden I remembered this incident and what had happened. So I told the story on the Get Smart team, and then I went back to the prison and I called my dad. I just call him every single night from prison. I was like, hey daddy, do you remember that time I called you? Told you about the people who busted in our house with the guns? And he was like, yeah, I remember it all right. He was like, I never told you what happened that night, did I? And I was like, no. He said, that night, in the middle of the night, I woke up because I heard you calling my name. He said, I got up and I looked around the house just to make sure you weren't there. And when you weren't there, I hit my knees and started praying. Y'all, that night, the guy in the living room shot his gun out just in a line, and he shot him right at me. And the bullets hit here, 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 and here in the wall behind me. And there's no doubt in my mind that my dad's prayer saved my life.